All right, let's turn then to the four major topics for tonight that I wanted to talk to you about. The first is the climate conference in Paris. It's been going on for about a week, and I guess has another few days to go. President Obama went there, and the heads of most of the countries in the world spent at least some time there to show, they said, and the press went along with it, how deeply committed they are to doing something about the deteriorating climate. Two facts about the conference, and then about the issue itself. First fact about the conference, it happened to coincide, nobody could have wanted this, with the absolute worst pollution to descend on the city of Beijing, China, in its history. Some of you may have seen the photographs. You can't see, like, 20 feet in front of you. It's so dense, the smog and the fog, and it's as if you needed a dramatic theater, but it's the reality. It's not a theater piece about how badly it's needed and how desperate the situation is. The second fact about the conference was that the socialist president of France, hosting the meeting, banned any and all demonstrations, any and all meetings, any and all gatherings of people who wanted to speak to this conference on the climate about their feelings as to the urgency of these issues and all that. They were forbidden. In an aftermath of the shooting on the 13th of November in Paris, they passed a series of laws, the French showing that they can get the equivalent of the Patriot Act through their parliament faster than we can get it through ours. No mean achievement. And the first people who were the object of the new restrictions were the people, mostly young people, who wanted to demonstrate about the climate in a peaceful way in the area where the conference is being held. Think about that. Now the issues itself. Wonderful speeches. I mean, if you just lived in the world of political speeches, you would have had a wonderful time. You really would have felt good. People said they were very concerned about the climate. And they said they were determined to do something more than they did in the past. This wasn't very moving, since doing less than what they have done is not physically possible. So, what can one say about the words? Well, I mean, they're nice words. I have no criticism of the words, but the actions are few and far between. And what's going on while they utter the words stands in such total contradiction with what they say they're about that I have to mention just two of the things that have been going on and continue to go on right as they meet and talk. First one, the major mode of transportation that exists in the Western world is the private automobile. And it is currently being exported and spread to become the major mode of transportation everywhere else. That is an ecological disaster. The automobile uses more energy to move a human being a mile than dozens of other ways of getting that job done. It's an inefficient, grotesquely inefficient. The automobile, for those of you who don't know, is the largest single killer of Americans every year because of accidents on the road. Ditto for injury. It wastes raw materials like crazy. Everybody has their private car made out of aluminum or steel with rubber and all these other things that we waste or use up in the way. It uses too much fuel. It's craziness. The way to save on it is mass transportation. Excellent systems of buses, vans, trains, trolleys, all of that. We're not doing that. We are building a system for the private automobile. That's why we have to have more and more highways, wider and wider and wider and wider, and more places using to park the car because you don't use it most of the time. If you had a rational system, it would be premised on the same idea as Hertz and Avis. Every city in the world would have at the edge of the city huge buildings and parking lots where a fleet of cars are maintained by skilled mechanics. When you need a car, you go get one. We already have it worked out. It just should be for everybody. That way we would use up the cars, we wouldn't have them sitting, etc. There's no advanced science needed here. The work has all been done. But nothing is happening to stop the spread of the private automobile as the major transportation. So while they sit and talk about her, they are in fact, and what's driving the private automobile? You know, private profit. Huge corporations, we've already mentioned them today, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, and you can add Toyota and Nissan and all the others, VW, a wonderful collection of companies. All of them are making money off the car, and we're going to have cars because that's what they want. And so if you wanted to do something, you'd have to deal with that. They're not doing that. There's no session at these conferences talking about the problem of a private capitalist automobile industry. What are we going to do about that? If we get rid of that, then we don't have to have a transportation system built on what's profitable for them. Rather, we build it on what's safe for the human race. But we subordinate what we know is best to enable private profit. Let me give you the second example. Most people who used to wear clothes bought them from somebody who made them, who was probably located 20, 50, 100 miles away. Ditto for their appliances, ditto for their furniture, and so on and so on and so on. That's how we did it. That's how most societies did it. Until about 30, 40 years ago, when, in order to make a capitalist profit, the producers of clothing, appliances, you know, all moved, I'm going to exaggerate now, to China. China, in relationship to Europe and North America, is, this is technical now, very far away. And that means if you produce something very far away and then bring it here where we consume it, you're going to have to spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of fuel moving that junk from where it's produced, 10,000 miles away, to where it's consumed. And that means you're going to pollute the ocean with 8 billion freighters that are dumping God knows what as they bring you your long-distance underwear. Right? Oh, it's what it is. Take a look tonight when you remove your underwear, the little label in the back, and it'll give you a hint that that underwear has done more traveling than you have. Right? It has. It has. A lot of fuel used up to move that freighter across 10,000 miles of ocean. The truck from the factory to the freighter, then the freighter unloads in New York, then it goes on another truck. This is crazy. And for ecologically minded people, it's crazy squared. And why is this pollution of everything happening, this waste of mammoth resources? Because it's privately profitable to capitalists to move the production from Tennessee to Shanghai, from Chicago to Mumbai, from Philadelphia to Sao Paulo. That's why. There's no mystery here. So if you want to deal with this, you've got to deal with an economic system, the profit motive, capitalism, that gets you these results. Otherwise, you're just talking. And the talking may be fun, and the talking may be sincere, whatever that word means. But who are you fooling? Well, the answer is they clearly fool themselves since they listen, apparently with rapt attention, to one another's stuff. But we don't have to join this absurd game. I'm very disappointed by that conference, and I didn't expect much.